Hi, I'm Dr. Kim Bush from North Carolina State University, and I teach in the PRT-SM Online Master's Program. So adults play many roles in youth sport. And some of the roles that they play are they can be the administrators of sport, they can be the officials in sport, they could be supporters of the sport itself, they can take the time and become coaches of youth sport, they can be facility managers of sport, they can even correspond with the media. They can also get involved with bringing in money, so either small fundraising opportunities for parents or larger sponsorship opportunities with bringing in money to youth sport. So that if we take a look at who the parents are in youth sport, so we know the roles they can play now, who are they? And ultimately parents are the decision makers. So they're going to be the first person who's going to decide whether their child's going to be involved in sport or not, and what sports they play, because they're going to have the overall veto authority. They are also the chauffeurs, so they're going to be taking their children from sport to sport. And when I say parent, obviously it could be the traditional parent, or there could be a family dynamic where grandma is serving as a parent, or grandpa, or an aunt or uncle. So I'm referring to it as parents, but it could obviously be that the parental role is the idea behind it. Also, parents provide travel for their youth, and that could be if they're competing on a travel team, getting them to a different state for a tournament, that type of thing. They provide the money for youth sport, and as we know, the cost of youth sport is going up, 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 so there's financial support involved with that. They're the supporters of their children on the sideline. As far as why parents get involved in youth sport, there's a couple different reasons, and one is oftentimes just the opportunity to bond with their child in a different environment. They also like to have structure provided for their children. So some people refer to this as babysitting, but they know that on Tuesdays their child's going to be at whatever practice, and there's going to be adult supervision, and the child's going to be active and engaged in activity during that time. And it could also, for some parents, it brings this excitement, this feeling of excitement and meaning for a parent. So the parent also feels a sense of belonging, as does their child when they engage in youth sport. They know that youth sport is very beneficial to the physical development of their child, as well as the psychological and health benefits of their child. And also, many parents believe that youth sport is going to teach their child different concepts with regard to self-control. So we know that youth sport is beneficial when done properly in increasing confidence of youth, in helping youth feel fit and happy, and we know that as children age and become adolescents and teenagers and young adults, those that are involved in sport, we see fewer rates of teen pregnancy and fewer rates of high school dropout. So parents see this from the perspective of there's many benefits of a child being involved in youth sport. Now, this is kind of at odds with what we have going on in society. So we have all these benefits that we believe are happening or can happen through youth sport, but then our society is this very achievement-oriented, competitive society. And some of the benefits that we have going on don't necessarily align with this feeling of this achievement-oriented society. So some things that we can do for creating good youth sports programs. First of all, we can start with good coaches. And we know with the little bitty children, a lot of those coaches all of them essentially are volunteers, but trying to get the best volunteers that we can and trying to provide the volunteers with the best training that we can provide them with. And then as children mature, maintaining those good coaches. So trying to really have coach training available and holding coaches to high standards. Other things we can do to make youth sports beneficial to children is we can modify the game. So we shouldn't have 5- and 6-year-olds playing 11v11 soccer. It's not going to be beneficial to anyone. Maybe one child from each team, the most skilled, will have the ball. All the other children that need more touches on the ball are not going to get the touches because the most skilled are going to have the ball and maintain possession of the ball throughout it. So modify the game, modify the size of the field, modify the size of equipment, modify the number of players on the field. So those are some different things that we can do. We can also make sure that we're providing opportunities for youth to participate. And we can have a rule in place that every child has to play so many minutes, or we have to rotate. We have to have some type of rotation so that all children have the opportunity to play, particularly when we're talking about youth non-competitive. I'm not talking about your 11-year-old travel soccer teams, but when we do have youth who are wanting to just participate, having things in place so that they do get to participate. We can introduce competition gradually, so we want to keep in mind what youth are looking to get out of sport, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the competition is part of it, but it's not what's most important to our youth. We can really spend time emphasizing the social interactions, because that's what a lot of youth do want to get out of sport engagement, is social interaction. All right. We can provide variety and interest. So particularly with our young children and all the way up through our college years, children are going to get bored easily. So we want to modify things as much as possible. We want to keep things moving. We want to have OTRs, opportunities to respond. We want to have as many of those as possible. So how can we keep the most number of our youth as active as possible throughout a particular drill or experience that we're providing? We can also provide close and exciting contests. So again, this comes down to modifying things. When we've done research on youth sport, and we look at just what youth would do in a pickup game, if one team was beating the other team by a lot, the youth themselves would automatically modify the teams because they would want it to be closer and more competitive so that they were getting more out of the experience. But yet, as adults, sometimes we'll watch the score go up, 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 and we won't make any modifications. So providing modifications as needed to keep the experience close and exciting. One thing that I wanted to share was what is known as the Bill of Rights for young athletes, and these are all things that all children should be provided when they participate in youth sport. So the first thing is the right to participate in sport, and we can think of that from an economic perspective, having opportunities for youth to participate in sport at very low fees. So recreation leagues, for example. I know that the rec center near me is one cost, and then the soccer league is double the cost of that. So providing opportunities that are affordable so that all youth do have the opportunity to participate in sport. The right to participate at a level commensurate with each child's level of maturity and ability. So again, placing that child in a situation where they're more likely to succeed than to fail is important. The right to have qualified adult leadership. So having those youth coaches that are trained, that are enthusiastic, that aren't yelling, that are all about equity and providing positive experiences for our youth. The right to play as a child and not as an adult. And this is where a lot of the adult pressure comes in. So the child just wants to be out there having fun and engaging in activity, but not putting these extra pressures on them and having these high levels, expectations of skill level. Just letting the child participate and have experience this as a child and not placing our own adult expectations on them. The right of children to share in the leadership and decision making of their sport participation. So if a child wants to participate in a sport, if we have the means to provide them with that opportunity, providing it. If a child doesn't want to do this, continue with the sport, respecting that decision. And also when we have our youth sport experiences, getting feedback from the children and putting that information to use in our planning. So what's going well, what's not going well, and really listening to the children because it's their experience that we want to make as beneficial as possible. The right to participate in safe and healthy environments. So again, doing all that we can to provide a safe environment for our child, and that not only means physically safe, but it also means emotionally safe. So if our child is on a team with a coach that is yelling or there's parents yelling, addressing that and keeping our child both physically and emotionally safe. The right to proper preparation for participation in sports. So allowing them to be prepared so that they can be successful in whatever youth sport they're pursuing. The right to an equal opportunity to strive for success. Okay, so we can think of that across genders, across races, but everybody having the same opportunity to strive for success. The right to be treated with dignity, so we could easily Google any type of YouTube video with either a parent or a coach yelling at a child in a youth sport environment, and that's not treating the child with dignity. So the child has that right to be treated with dignity at all times, and a right to have fun in sports is the last one.